Hello everyone, this is Cobalt. This is the next video in my character analysis series for Brawlhalla. Stick around till the end to hear about entering the giveaway to win community colors, emotes, weapon skins, sidekicks, avatars, or even the battle pass, and voting for the next legends. And if you want to skip all this and get straight into the information, there's a timestamp in the description, and don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with the release of your favorite legend. In these analyses, I wanted to focus solely on the character's signatures. Light attack combos are covered much more in depth than I ever could elsewhere and function pseudo-comparably for all characters of that weapon class. So I'm not going to be discussing the general neutral of the character with their weapons unless it pertains in some way to their signatures. Firstly, I want to give clear descriptions of the terminology I'll be using. Startup frames are the amount of frames that happen after a move has begun until the first hitbox of the move becomes active. Active frames are the duration of frames that the move contains hitboxes that can collide with your opponent. FAF, or First Actionable Frame, is the first frame available where your character is able to move again after the move has been started. For all of this data, I use the character's jump to display the first actionable frame. Lastly, On Miss refers to the move not connecting with an opponent, and On Hit refers to the move making contact with an opponent. I'm going to be doing my analysis today on the next voted in legend, Mirage. She was a spy who went back in time to pursue a target. She learned magic from a mystic society in a city of assassins. She traveled the stars, eventually obtaining a powerful scythe, killing some aliens, and eventually finding herself in Valhalla. Mirage's weapons are Scythe and Spear. She has high attack and dexterity with lower defense and average speed. I don't really think this is a super great stat spread, but her attack power cannot be ignored. She hasn't made a super huge impact on the competitive meta despite having weapons that are both pretty good right now. Do her SIGs contribute to this lack of competitive viability? Let's find out. Let's start with her Scythe. Scythe's side SIG has 22 frames of startup, active frames from 23 to 28 with an FAF of 53. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Mirage dips down into the sand, sliding forward and popping out a short distance away and swinging her scythe in a whipping motion in front of her. This move has okay startup and FAF with pretty limited active frames. One useful thing about it though is that it shifts her hurt box down into the ground as she's moving, so this offers her a little bit of a smaller chance of being hit, though a lot of moves still covers this space. It covers space pretty well in front of her and can knock out pretty easily. It's not amazing, but it has its coverage and can punish pretty well. Scythe NSIG has 16 frames of startup, active frames from 17 to 22 with an FAF of 43. It functions differently on miss than it does on hit. Should it make contact, it functions as a command grab with a new FAF of 66. Mirage slings her scythe forward and upward, and should the move connect, she forms a clone of sand and swings her scythe forward, sending her opponent flying. On miss, this move has pretty good startup and FAF, honestly, and has some decent coverage in front of Mirage to boot. It can connect with both aerial and grounded opponents, so has the potential for dual coverage there. Scythe down SIG has 17 frames of startup, active frames from 18 to 27 with an FAF of 49. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Mirage dips down into the sand and slings her scythe upwards and in a circular pattern around her. I suppose this can be considered a passive SIG since her hurt box completely shifts to go into the ground and can function both as a dodge option as well as a punish option should your opponent charge directly at you. It's got okay startup and average end lag, definitely not a bad SIG and has some utility. Next up is her Spear. Spear's side SIG has 22 frames of startup, active frames from 23 to 28 with an FAF of 49. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit, though it's worth noting that this move has more end lag if used off stage with an FAF of 45 as opposed to the original 49 if using it on the ground. Mirage jumps forward, descending downward. She only has hitboxes on the descending portion of this move, and it has an average amount of startup. It covers a pretty high amount of distance, so it can be a good punishing option for opponents' whiffed attacks from a distance or as a burst option similar to Nash's side Spear. Upon her descent, 2 additional Spear hitboxes are created, giving a small wall of a hitbox. Spear NSIG has 19 frames of startup, active frames from 20 to 25, 27 to 31, and 34 to 38 with an FAF of 64. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Mirage descends into the ground, traveling forward and sticking 3 hitboxes into the air above her. These hitboxes are excellent at catching jumping opponents or ones trying to cover high or land on top of Mirage. The way that her hurt box shifts down is also really good, making it even more challenging to hit her. The SIG has okay startup but has a lot of end lag, making it pretty punishable on miss. Spear's side SIG has 19 frames of startup, active frames from 20 to 25 with an FAF of 46. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Mirage plants her spear into the ground, sprouting multiple spears around her. These spears generate hitboxes all around her as well as on her hurt box. This move doesn't have a large amount of active frames, but it has okay frame data and has utility especially whenever stacked on an opponent. It has good coverage that her other SIGs don't, so it has its utility. So, overall, her SIGs are slightly faster than average in terms of their frame data. Her Scythe NSIG is the fastest in terms of both startup and end lag, and it offers her some pretty good coverage, and that one is definitely my favorite SIG. Her other SIGs offer her some beneficial coverage in terms of their range, and she can cover most space around her and above her with both of her weapon signatures. She has some pretty solid knockout potential thanks to her high attack stat. She also has one of the coolest skins in the game with her flaming skeleton skin. It looks like the freaking Ghost Rider and I love it. Anyway, I think that it might be partially due to her speed that's holding her back from performing well in the competitive metagame. Her SIGs are okay, I think, but they don't have a huge amount of utility to them like Diana or Mordex. I don't think that she's bad, and I've certainly covered worse legends thus far, but I think she's just alright. Though I've seen some people pull off crazy stuff with her, so it may be just a matter of time before we see somebody make waves with her in the competitive scene the same way that they have with other characters.
Today's code to put down in the comments is Wan Shi Tong along with your Twitter handle, and if you get that reference, I appreciate it. Tune in on Monday for coverage on the highest voted legend from this week. Check the description for the poll to vote for next week's 5 legends. This is the final video of the week, so I'll distribute the prizes to the winners, and the poll will be closed later this evening, so be sure to get your votes in. I'll be continuing this once a day, Monday through Friday, over the next 10 weeks until all 50 legends are covered. So thanks for joining me on this ride. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the release of your favorite legend, and hope to see you back for the next one. I'm Kimber KB, thanks for watching.
Thanks to my girlfriend Kimber for helping me out with the audio on this one. Be sure to check her out on Twitch at twitch.tv/Kimber_KB. Once again, I'm Cobalt, and thanks for watching.